Hey everyone, Brayden here coming to you with another breaking Disney news update. The last 2 days here, Disney's really been putting me through my paces. You know, we go many months with not a whole lot in the way of announcements from Disney, and then all of a sudden, some random Tuesday in January, boom, we get the opening date for Tron, April 4th, Happily Ever After and Epcot Forever. They're both returning April 3rd. We got all these dates and all these details. I did a video about that yesterday. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. And then, as I was recording last video talking about all of that, Disney made more announcements. We have some policy changes that for years fans have been begging Disney for, and now we are getting them by the looks of it here. And this is a whole new Disney compared to what we saw under Chapek. We never saw anything like this under Bob Chapek when he was CEO. Disney announced a slew of things all at once here, and they want everybody to know that they are making these changes. On the Walt Disney World website, Disney added a banner directing guests to read about these changes on the Disney Parks blog. They sent out push notifications to people's phones who have the My Disney Experience app notifications on. Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro was featured in the New York Times today discussing these changes, so they definitely want everyone to know that they are making changes here. So let's see what exactly those are. So the first change, this is the big one, I think. Complimentary self-parking is returning to the Walt Disney World Resort hotels. And I should say it has returned, as this change was effective immediately. Disney says, quote, beginning this evening, January 10th, overnight self-parking will once again be offered complimentary to guests staying at Disney Resort hotels at Walt Disney World. This is a Disney difference many of you have asked us to bring back, and we're happy to make your vacation a little easier and more affordable. So all of a sudden we're seeing this emphasis from Disney on affordability. This is something we would never hear under Bob Chapek. As I said, it's just like a totally different company. Very, very exciting stuff. For those of you unaware, so what this is about, yesterday and every day prior, going all the way back to 2018, when this was first instituted, this policy, guests who were already paying out the nose to stay at these Disney Resort hotels, on top of all of that, they had to pay nightly per vehicle to park at the hotel they paid to stay at. The parking fees were anywhere between $15 to $25 per night on top of everything else, which is just insane to think about. Needless to say, this is a big change that'll make staying at the resorts a little cheaper. Many are saying, well, Disney's just going to incorporate this into the regular room rates. Probably, but this is the difference between Chapek and Iger. I told you guys back when Chapek got the axe, when I did that live stream, I'm not a huge Iger fan like some people are, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I really don't think there's much of a difference in terms of the day-to-day operation of the company. I don't think there's a huge philosophical difference in how the company is run. I think the big difference between Iger and Chapek and what makes Iger a much better CEO is the PR. Iger is a PR guy. He is a politician. So, you know, think about someone like Iger who is aware of the optics of these sorts of things. You know, the fans are very upset right now. Everything's costing more and more and more. What do we not like? Fees. You know, we still have parking fees at the parks themselves. That makes a little more sense. When you're paying for a hotel, especially the parking fee, it's just crazy. So needless to say, I think this is definitely a welcome change. I'm sure all of you guys agree with me. Next in the list of policy changes in this blog post from Disney, for Walt Disney World annual pass holders, park reservation requirements will be relaxed for visits after 2 p.m. Disney says, quote, beginning in the next few months, Walt Disney World annual pass holders will be able to visit the theme parks after 2 p.m. without needing a park reservation, except on Saturdays and Sundays at Magic Kingdom Park. So that's the little asterisk there. You still have to get a park reservation to go anytime on Saturday and Sunday at the Magic Kingdom if you have an annual pass. And also blockout dates for your annual pass still apply as well, of course. Now, is this one a particularly large change? For some pass holders, probably. I think a lot of pass holders, this is a big deal. For me personally, you know, I'm a pass holder. Lately, I've realized going in the morning is the best time to go. There's a lot less guests. If you get to the parks bright and early, there's less people there. The lines are shorter for everything, and it's the most beautiful time of day in Central Florida. So for some pass holders, this is gonna be something that they utilize a lot. I'll definitely be using it, but it's not a huge change. Here's the thing though, even if you aren't a pass holder and this change doesn't apply to you, it is notable because this is the first we're seeing of Disney rolling back the ridiculous hoops that they've had us jump through for years now with the park's reservations. We're starting to see some chinks in the armor to the policies that were instituted under Bob Chapek here. Are they removing park reservations entirely yet? It does not look like it, but we are starting to see the rules become a little more lax. And who's to say they don't relax the rules even more in the future before just getting rid of park reservations entirely, which I think is what we're all looking forward to. It very well could happen. We'll just have to see how things develop here. Next up in the list of policy updates, attraction photo downloads will be included with Disney Genie Plus service. Disney says, quote, beginning in the next few months, guests purchasing Disney Genie Plus service will also receive digital downloads of their Disney Photo Pass attraction photos taken in the park on the day of their purchase at no additional charge. No additional charge? Is this even the same company? I'll tell you guys, I think what Disney's trying to do here, I think they're trying to sweeten the deal with Genie Plus, give it some more offerings. This is a nice little perk, a nice little thing. I wonder if this is something to do with annual pass holders, because if you recall in the past, annual pass holders, they got Photo Pass downloads for free, and now they don't. The parks have a lot of annual pass holders roaming around who peruse the parks at will. They take up space in the parks, and they don't do Genie. Some annual pass holders I know, like myself, have never done Genie or Lightning Lane a single time just out of spite. And they have the ability to do that because, you know, they can come and go at will, so they don't have to make the most of their day and hit every single ride like a regular guest does, who's basically extorted into paying for the Genie service. Well, here you have Disney adding an additional perk, which is something that is useful to annual pass holders especially, as well as everyone else, something that isn't just about skipping the line or something like that. It's an additional perk, so Disney is definitely trying to, I think, increase their Genie Plus subscription numbers by adding this. So those were the big policy changes we just got from Disney. Very interesting stuff. That's not even the most newsworthy stuff we got yesterday, though, because alongside these policy changes, we got all this commentary from fans saying, wow, this is Bob Iger. He's really going in and getting rid of these fees and these needless restrictions that Bob Chapek put in place. This is something Chapek would have never done. And then here's what was so bizarre. Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro, he talks to the New York Times and he insinuates that these changes had little or nothing to do with Iger, basically saying that this was his team listening to guest feedback and it has nothing to do with anything else or very little to do with anything else. So D'Amaro was quoted in the Times saying, quote, this is not necessarily about a change in leadership. I have a lot of face-to-face conversations with guests when I'm walking the parks and I read a lot of their comments online. If you move a tree, if you change a procedure, if you start asking for reservations, that's a big deal to our guests. They care. They really, really care. And if people care that much, then I have an obligation to listen and when appropriate to make some changes and modifications, end quote. So to the idea that Iger had little or nothing to do with this, I say, look, we had Chapek as CEO for almost 3 years and none of these changes were made during that period, not one. Guests were asking for changes like these the entire time. We didn't get anything like this, not even once. I'm not the biggest Iger defender in the world. I'm not his biggest fan, but really Iger had nothing to do with this. If that's actually the case, if it really had nothing to do with Iger, then I'm kind of starting to wonder what other potential motivation is there that would make Disney sort of relax the requirements, you know, all the hoops they make guests jump through, all these little fees and things like that. And something that comes to mind is stagnant demand. We're in a time here where everyone's talking about a possible recession, everything becoming a lot more expensive at the grocery store. A luxury like a Disney vacation, it might be the sort of thing where Disney's having to start cutting some of those fees and extra charges and all those extra hoops that they had us jump through, because moving forward, it won't be the situation we've had the last few years where there's endless demand and Disney can do basically whatever they want and we just have to deal with it. We might already be entering a new paradigm here where Disney's going to have to start actually enticing guests, giving reasons for guests to go, actually wooing us just a little. Just something to think about there. To this assertion that demand might have something to do with this sudden about face for parks policy, D'Amaro said, quote, none of these changes are about demand. And last up in the news today, this was also stated in this very same article. This is scary. We aren't totally back to normal at Disney just yet. On the topic of Genie, D'Amaro said, quote, we believe in the Genie product, which has been incredibly popular, but we're going to continue to look at ways to add more value. As I said earlier today on Twitter, Genie is popular in the way toll roads are popular. Everyone who uses the toll road pays, guys. What a popular service. Come on, Josh, are you kidding me? Let me know what you guys think about these latest policy changes from Disney. They do seem to be shaking things up right now, and in a good way. This is some very, very good stuff we're seeing here. I will let you know the second we hear whatever comes next. There's definitely going to be more, so make sure you're subscribed with those notifications on so you don't miss any of that. Thank you so much for watching. From the Mickey Views Magic Studio, this is Brayden. I'll talk to you soon. Have a magical day.